Good morning. Hand today is going to be Jack 10 of diamonds. We are in the low jack. We have an early position player limps. I isolate and he calls. So this guy's I have 161 hands on. He's playing 32-8. Definitely passive. You can see limp first in stat from early positions 33%, and then only um, 2 out of 36, 2 out of 33 he's raised. Doesn't really have a 3-bet. I mean, he does. It's come from the button. We see that he also has like 33% limp first in the cutoff, 19% in mid position with a little bit higher raise. I think he's probably limping a little bit more in the early position than mid position, where in mid position he's more likely to raise first in. So we're looking at probably about 30 some percent, low 30s. I kind of set it up something like this. I think Jacks plus Ace King with Ace Queen suited could be a raise. I do have a note on him that says he limp first in the hijack and then called the cutoff ISO with Ace Queen. He's out of position, then he check called all the way down. He check called with like a 6-high flop, and then he caught a queen and then a king. So, and then we have limp and call to raise with all those different hands. So I think we're probably pretty good with our range. I do have Ace Queen off plus as limp call. I'm gonna assume he would raise Ace King. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep it out of his range. So I think that's his range. Our range is isolating range. You could see the optional ISO. I think this player is going to be wide enough with his call as well that we can get away with expanding our range and then attacking on the flop. Flop comes down, Queen 5-2. Queen 5-2 rainbow. We've got a backdoor straight, backdoor flush draw. We do have some two higher cards. I think when we look at C betting here, we're not going to have a huge C betting range because we don't have a whole lot of draws here. So if we just do like 2-card backdoor flush draws, we're looking at 36%, which means value is going to be 15%. I think this is probably going to be way too much. We're not going to be doing that. So I think what we're looking at is we'll do like Ace King as the overcards and then 2-card backdoor flush draw. It's going to be some of these hands that have the potential of improving to like a gut shot draw or open ender on on the turn. So 10-9, Jack 10. I think 9-8's probably getting a little too low, but that's at like 26% right now, and that means our value hands are going to be much lower. So I think our value hands will be sets. I think our value hands could be overpair, and I'm not even sure our top pair is going to be much value. Even if we add like all of the ace queens and the ace, all the offsuit ace queens, it's going to be raising us up. So we'd have to add a little bit more. So that gets us to 20%, and that means we're going to need like another like 15% of hands to balance that. And I just don't know if we have that. We could always try like these pocket pairs, like 7-8, 7s, 8s, and 9s. That could maybe work. Then that gets us to a 60% C bet range. That actually doesn't look too bad, 60%, versus this guy that has a pretty wide range. And we have a kind of a scare card on the queen. We know he called when he had 2 overs on a low board. Let's see what he does here. He doesn't necessarily fold a whole lot. That's the thing. So he checks. We bet. So that's our bet. Now the question is, what does he call? I'm going to give him credit for all of these pairs. We know he called with overs, so we'll give him the open ender, the gut shot, and then maybe like the same thing like ace jack, ace 10, and like the kings. Maybe those broadways. We'll give him all of those. So that's 55% call. So we should still be ahead of his calling range here. Is my sizing okay with 5? I'm kind of think with his range, we could probably go up to 2/3. make it 2/3, make it harder for him to call, and then kind of scale back to maybe half pot on the turn if we pick up hands to continue with. That could be a play. I think standard would be a little bit lower. You know, you bet a little bit lower, but you bet with a wider range here. I think that makes sense with like ace queen, aces king to try to encourage more calls from weaker hands and so forth. So he calls, 4 spades comes out. That does not improve us. Villain checks. I think that's pretty standard, and then it's on us. I think at this point we're not going to be. I don't think we're going to be betting as much. We've got a flush draw definitely that we can draw to. I think gut shots possibly. I mean, those are bottom ends of the gut shot. Let's see what our value hands are. Definitely, I think we continue betting our sets and overpair. I think he's going to be calling with that. I think top pair with ace queen, I think we continue betting for value, and then that kind of leads us with what else do we do? I mean, what other hands is he calling with? That's the question. Would he call a second time with like a junk ace jack? Maybe. If we add all of those like 7, 8s, and 9s, that gets us to about even. That might actually be better than the gut shot. Because even if we connect with the gut shot, we're basically at the low end of the straight. A 6 beats us. Villain does have some 6s in his range. Maybe we do go for the gut shot. That's gonna way make it too much, but that's because also we included like ace jack, or I'm sorry, ace queen. It's like we were already betting aces and ace queen. So if we just add ace jack, ace 10, that's not bad. I guess we could do that and leave like the middle pairs as a checking range. That could be a little bit better here. So good. We didn't have, you know, you could say we didn't have those hands. Jack 10 doesn't fit any of those. So it's actually pretty good. So we are going to X these out. I guess we're going to X out all of those. And make sure we've got these hands in here. So I think that's it with our checking range. So we do have some like pocket pairs. You know, 7s, 8s, 9s in this range. All is not lost. Jack Hearts comes out. That's actually pretty decent. So if villain doesn't have a queen, if he's just calling with his, you know, ace king, ace, you know, small pocket pairs, we've just picked up, you know, a winner. He checks. I'm not surprised by this. I don't. Maybe I'd expect a straight to bet. I do maybe a set to bet. Kind of expect 2 pair to bet as well. So I guess we're looking at something like that. At best, top pair. Do I expect a top pair to bet? I mean, I kind of do after it goes check check, but he goes check check. He could be check calling, hoping that I bluff. That's the thing. So like, I think the sets and the straights would probably bet 2 pair, maybe not. We could scale it to like, you know, 50% with our jack. We've got some value here. We don't really have anything super strong. If we bet, what hands call? I think 2 pair call. We'll say the jacks call as well, and maybe those pocket pair less than the second cards. And we're going to say we beat all of those hands. We get beat by everything else. So out of the hands that he would call, we're only beating 25%, which means that if we bet here, we're not really betting for value with any of our middle pairs. So I think we should check behind here. I do check behind. I show Jack 10. He shows 10s. Does he have that in his range? Yeah, that is. He had those pocket pairs, so he had one of those hands that I expected him to check call. Doesn't really give us a better idea of, you know, the weaker hands that he plays, but we know he limps first in. in EP and call low jacks ISO. Yeah. He's out of position. Check call 50%. Check on a queen of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 2 spades, 4 spades, jack of hearts. All right, so I don't mind. I don't like that he didn't raise. I think the pre-flop play was weak, but post-flop play I thought was okay for him. I don't see him doing a check raise at any time. I think flop is probably a check call. Goes on the turn, it's a check. And then once I go check, the 10 could go for a little bit of value, but you have to think about what hands am I going to call? Would I really call with like an ace high to bluff catch? Probably not. This is a 25 NL hand, so sometimes you do have to call those, but I usually just play straightforward. If they bet, I need a hand because I don't think there's enough players that make a bluff in this spot to where I have to call with an ace high hand. I don't think I played my hand terribly either. Maybe the bet size on the flop is off. We are using it just as kind of a bluff. We don't have a huge number of bluffs, and we're betting as much as we do because Villain has all of these different hands. So we know he's going to call with a lot. We already saw that he called with just 2 overs one time. There's nothing wrong to bet again. I mean, if we pick up a diamond, even like a 4 of diamond, we're going to continue betting. If we pick up, let's say, an 8 or a 9, we're going to probably continue the barrel. And if we win it at that point, hey, that's great. We didn't have a hand. It just turned out that the 4 spades didn't really improve our hand, so we just kind of go down to check, ready to give up. River's a jack. If he bets, we're probably calling with that jack. I don't think I'd like it, but the way we went check, I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to play it like bet like an ace 5, ace 2, ace 3 hand, and so forth. So hopefully enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.